and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, as you can tell by the title, has nothing to do with makeup. It actually has to do with my acne story and what it is that I used to clear it up. So I just want to put it out there that obviously what I went through isn't like the worst of the worst acne, but it did affect me, and I just wanted to share with you guys to see if maybe if any of you are going through this or have gone through this, maybe you can relate. This is pretty personal. I've never talked about this with anyone. The only people who know what I went through are my family, but I've never like shared pictures or anything like that. So I'm really putting myself out there today. So I really hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you want to hear all about my acne story, all you have to do is keep on watching. Alright, so everything happened to me in the year of January 2015. Out of nowhere, one day I just woke up, and I woke up with like little bumps on my face. And I didn't think much of it. I was like, oh, maybe I had some sort of little allergic reaction to something. I'm sure it'll get better. So then as the days went on, those little patch of bumps started taking over the whole like right side of my face. And then it started going on the left side of my face. I didn't really pay much mind to it. I started paying mind to it when people at work started questioning me and like saying, Nikki, like what is that all over your face? Like your skin never looks like that. What's going on? I was just like, honestly, I truly don't even know what it is. I just thought maybe it was an allergic reaction. I'm sure it'll go away. And I just sort of left it at that. But then my parents were like, maybe you should, go to a dermatologist. Go to a dermatologist and see what they tell you. Maybe they just can give you some sort of medication that will take those little bumps away. And I was like, okay. So then I went to the dermatologist. I Googled the best one in my area that took my insurance. So I sort of just went in and told the dermatologist, I felt like I had some sort of allergic reaction because one day I just woke up with these breakouts all over my face. And she asked me what chemicals I have been using lately on my hair, what shampoos, if I, had recently used any chemicals in like hair dyes or anything like that. And I was just like, actually, yeah. I was just like, my mom dyed my hair a couple weeks back. It was a box hair dye from like Walgreens, and she dyed my hair, but I've used box hair dye before, so I'm not sure what one thing has to do with another. I didn't know, that can break you out. And she said, most certainly, that box hair dyes have tons of chemicals in them that can be harmful to your skin. So once she went ahead and looked at my skin that was full of little red bumps all over, she agreed that it must have been some sort of allergic reaction. So this first medication that I'm about to show you is the medication that I got from the dermatologist at my very first visit. So the medication that the dermatologist prescribes me is called mometasone furoate cream USP 0.1%, and this is a topical cream for the skin, and this is actually used for when people have psoriasis, eczema, inflammation, and redness on the skin. So that is why she prescribes me this medication before anything else, because she thought I had some sort of allergic reaction, as I did myself. So this is the first thing she gave me, and this is a steroid cream. And what's funny is that my boyfriend actually uses this because he has inflammation around his nose, like when he gets his allergies and things like that, and he actually uses the same medication. So when I saw that she gave me this, I was just sort of taken by surprise. I had no idea, that I would be able to use this all over like my face. And I started to use this, and I maybe saw a little bit of the inflammation on my face, the little bumps like swell down a little bit. So I did notice a difference with this, but the bumps never disappeared. It just sort of made the redness go away a little bit, and it made the bumps a little bit tinier, but it never cleared it up. And I was on this medication in hopes that it would work for me for maybe 2 months, and it didn't do anything. So I then was just like, okay, this can't be an allergic reaction. How long can an allergic reaction really like go on for? And I was just, at this point, I was so lost, because I was just thinking back, like what could it have been that I used on my face to cause this? I will insert a picture right here somewhere in this clip of what my face looked like at the time when I was using this medicine. So as you can see in this picture, my skin is super irritated, and it looks like you just want to itch it. Like all I wanted to do was just scratch my face, scratch my face, scratch my face. And that's why I thought it was some sort of reaction, but it couldn't have been, because no medication for allergic reactions was taking that away. So after 2 months of using this medication, the steroid topical cream, and seeing that it absolutely did nothing to my skin to clear it up, so I then went back to my dermatologist and I said, listen, you know, this steroid cream sort of brought down the swelling of the little pimples all over my face down, but it's still not gone. So at this point I was super concerned, and so was my dermatologist, and she told me, okay, I'm going to give you something else, and this next medication I'm going to prescribe you is actually a acne medication. And I was like, acne medication? I was just like, but I was like, I don't have acne. I was like, I've never suffered from acne. How could that be? And she was just like, let's try it out. And that's what I think it is, because this isn't going away. So then the second medication that she gave me was called adapalene. So adapalene is an acne medication, and what it does is it affects the growth of cells and decreases inflammation and swelling on the skin. And it's a retinoid cream, and adapalene worked for me for a little bit. It did bring down lots of the pimples, like it got rid of a good amount of them. So when I went on adapalene, I was using it every night, and I noticed a big difference in my skin. So at this point I was like, okay, this is acne because it's clearing it up, whereas the steroid cream wasn't doing anything, because that was meant for just like inflammation and swelling. But the acne medication was working. So I was just like, okay, this is a bad case of, you know, an acne breakout. So I was using the adapalene religiously every single night. I was just spreading it all over my face, and all you're supposed to use is like a pea-size amount. But I was so desperate at this point, because it had already been like 2.5, 3 months of my face looking like this, and I was so desperate, so I just completely disregarded her instructions to just use a pea-size amount, because I was just like, if I just use a pea-size amount, how in the world am I going to get it on all of these bumps on my face? So I used a pretty decent, generous amount of this medication all over my face, and it burned the hell out of my face. It was irritating, those bumps, and you know, like that saying, when you feel something burn or like tingle, you know it's working. So I thought it was working. So I would use it every single night, only at nighttime, because the sun really affects it, that medication, and just can give you sort of like a reverse effect on the skin. It can just sort of cause you to have like a splurge of more breakouts, and your skin is super sensitive to the sunlight when you're on a retinoid cream, so it's meant to just be used at nighttime. So I was using it at nighttime, and I want to say maybe like a month later, after using the adapalene, a good amount of those pimples on my face were gone. And I was loving life. I was just like, okay, like, you know, I'm going to keep using this. It's going to get better. And so I did continue to use the adapalene medication for about a good 2 months more, and it wasn't really clearing up the acne. It did get rid of a good amount of the bumps all over my face, but it wasn't gone completely. So at this point, I just wanted to cry. I was just like, oh my goodness. I was like, this is never going to go away. What am I going to do? Now I have to go back to the dermatologist and bother her again for something else. And at this point, my parents were like, maybe you should get a second opinion. She's already giving you 2 different things that really aren't working for you. So maybe go and get a second opinion. So that's exactly what I did. So I went to a different dermatologist in my area, and this dermatologist, I knew right off the bat, wasn't really there to help me. And I'll tell you why. This second dermatologist that I went to asked me about the history of medications that I had used to treat this, like which medications it was that the first dermatologist gave me. And I told him, and he's like, okay, are you tired of using all these medications? Do you just want to get rid of this acne and clear it up for good? And I was like, absolutely. And one word came out of his mouth, and I wanted to scream. And that word was Accutane. Girl, no. So he said, okay, Accutane would be your best bet. And I knew what Accutane was. He tried to explain it to me, and I was just like, I know what Accutane is. Like, you know, I do my research. So Accutane is a super controversial medication. A lot of people don't like to go on Accutane, and then there are some people who are super hopeless and just give in and take the medication when there is nothing else that has worked for them. At this point, I just sort of thought this doctor just wanted me out of his office because okay, I had tried 2 medications and nothing was taking this away, but I felt like I had not tried enough medications to go on Accutane just as my 3rd medication. Accutane is literally when you've tried so many or pretty much every single acne medication and nothing seems to work. Accutane is the last resort that any doctor should ever give a patient. So at this point I was just like, okay, this doctor just doesn't even care. But at this point I was desperate. I was very desperate, and I was just like, okay, I was like, I'll do it. And he gave me the pamphlet. And that's when I was like, okay, this is really about to happen. If you're not familiar with Accutane, you can go ahead and do some research online. I'll just give you a little background on it because it is so controversial and I just don't want that drama on my channel because some people agree with it and some do not. So what Accutane does is it reduces the amount of oil production in your body. It completely shuts down all oil glands in your body, because I know that when people go on Accutane, your skin, your lips, your hair, everything just gets super dry. And the reason that this medication does that is because if you're familiar with acne, you know that acne comes from the overproduction of oil glands in your skin. So if you produce a lot of oils, it can cause you to break out. And I do have oily skin, but I was like, damn, like, my skin ain't that oily, like why is it making me break out this bad? And I did not want to go on Accutane, but I was desperate, and so I took the pamphlet and I had to read it, and I got super scared once I started reading the pamphlet and like saying how you absolutely cannot get pregnant. That's not the reason I got scared. Like, I'm not trying to get pregnant or anything, but it was just because it would cause severe damage to a child. And I was just like, okay, if it can literally kill a child in your body, imagine what it's doing to my body. And I did not like the fact that you have to go get blood work done every month to see if the Accutane is affecting your liver, because it can cause severe liver damage. And I was just like, oh my God, is the medication really worth it? I just, at this point, I just didn't even know. I didn't even care. I just wanted my skin to clear up. I was just super desperate. But, you know, I took the pamphlet home with me. I was just like, I'm going to think about it. Give me the information and, you know, I'll get back to you if I want to go ahead and go on this medication. There are people who take Accutane and never ever get acne ever again. And then you have people who take Accutane and get acne again a year later. So I was just like, do I really want to go on a medication to clear up my skin forever? And, you know, but maybe have long-term effects of liver damage or, you know, it messing up other organs in my body. I was just like, I just didn't even know what to do. So at this point I spoke to my parents, because my parents just always help me out with everything and just really ground me and make me think clearly and logically. And they were like, they didn't think it was worth it. They're like, that absolutely is not worth it. So I went back to my dermatologist and I decided I wasn't going to go on Accutane. I even told him I don't think my skin is that bad for me to go on Accutane. I know Accutane is given to people who have nodular acne, and if you look up nodular acne, it's really sad that people go through that. And nodular acne is pretty much when you have these huge pimples on your face that literally like stick out of the surface of your skin. They're huge bumps all over your face, and if I had acne like that, I wouldn't even think about it for a second to go on Accutane. But you guys saw in the picture, I will insert it again here, it wasn't that bad for me to go on Accutane. So I was just like, can you give me something else to try? And so he gave me samples of a medication called Epiduo. And I just get so excited when I hear that word, because that's actually the medication that cleared up my skin. So he gave me samples of Epiduo. He gave me about 3 of those, and I was like, okay, I'll try this out and I'll let you know how it works for me. And so I went home that day and I was super excited. I was just like, okay, maybe this'll work. And at nighttime I was super pumped and ready to use my medication. And so I put it all over my face, and I kid you not, from the first time I used this medication, I noticed that this was going to be the one. And I'll tell you why. Because the next day I woke up and my face was, I want to tell you, it was about 45% clearer than ever. I still had bumps everywhere, but that's a pretty good amount. Like, it was about 45% clear. That's just about half of my face being clear. So I knew this was going to work for me. And my face, just like, I started seeing, like, you know, my skin, my like clear skin underneath, and it wasn't covered with these pimples all over. And I was just like, okay, this is going to be the one, or I'm going to keep using this. And so I used up all my trial sizes of the Epiduo, and I went back to the dermatologist. I was like, listen, I was like, this stuff is gonna work a miracle for my face. I know it. I noticed a result instantly. When you have acne on your face and every day you just see your face getting worse and worse and worse, you'll notice the difference when finally something works, because you start to finally see the regular surface of your skin and it's just getting clearer and improving more and more. So I noticed that this was going to work for me and I was super excited. So then finally I told my dermatologist I wanted to go on that medication, and so he gave me a prescription for it. And I know that if you don't have insurance, this medication is super costly. It is about $400 if you don't have insurance. Luckily, I thank the Lord that my medical insurance covered it, and it was completely free, which is absolutely incredible. And I couldn't thank God enough, because I knew that this medication was going to work for me. So I must have been on this medication since probably, so that year of 2015, I probably went on this around end of April. So I was on this around end of April, because I remember I wrote it on my phone, that's when I started this full bottle of Epiduo. It was around April, and I was on it till about, it was like April, May, June, July, for about 4 months. That's all it took for my face to completely heal and get rid of all the acne. And I was super excited for that, because that year in July I was going on a cruise, and I was afraid that me being under the sun so much, it was going to irritate my skin and make it worse. But I would just wear like really big floppy hats on my cruise, and you know, put sunblock on, and then just still keep using this at nighttime. And it cleared up my face, and I was so happy, because by the time my cruise came around, my face was pretty much clear. I must have had just probably like a few little bumps, but I will say that it always gets worse before it gets better. So in the previous picture that I showed earlier, you saw the little bumps all over my face. That's how it all started, and then this medication began to clear it up. And at night when I would use this, it would burn my face, and then the next morning I would wake up and my face would be like flaking and super dry, because that's what it does. Just as many other acne medications, what they do is they dry out your skin, because it's getting rid of all the oils. So that's what this medication does, is it really dries out your skin, and it just dries out all of the acne, and it just sort of flakes off. But my skin got worse before it got better while on that medication. I will insert a picture right here somewhere of the huge, massive like pimples that I got on my face after a couple of months of using this. It's like it completely got rid of all of the little tiny bumps, and then I started getting huge pimples all over my face. It was mainly always on the right side of my face. Right around here, I would always have these huge pimples, like around 5 to 6 pimples at a time. And then this side was okay. It didn't have as many pimples, but I was still getting these crazy pimples. And the reason I have so many pictures of these is because all I ever did was take pictures of my face to see the progress. Like I was constantly like this every day, just taking pictures of my skin to see if it was improving and getting better. So I'm very glad I kept those pictures, because I'm able to show you the progress that I went through. So I can't tell you which one was worse, whether it was having all those little tiny pimples all over my face, or not having all the tiny little ones, but having huge like 7 planets on my cheek. It was very gross, to say the least, and I was in hiding once again. Like, I just did not want to come out of my house. I didn't want to put makeup on because I didn't want to irritate the skin, but then it's like I wanted to put the makeup on to sort of conceal and hide the pimples. But definitely I am so glad I am over that. I always keep a bottle of Epiduo on me. Like, this is like my safe place. This is like what I always keep on me. I no longer use this all over my face because it has completely cleared it up, but I do use it like for spot treatments, like in case like I ever get like a pimple here or here. Like if it's that time of the month, I always just put this on, and by the next day it's like completely dry. So just keep in mind, this does really dry out your face and it burns, and being in the sun irritates it. So it's like you go through pain, but I'm so grateful that I was able to find this medication and that my insurance covered it, and that I did not have to go on Accutane, because I just feel like it would have been so harmful for my body. So I'm very excited about that. But all in all, just, you know, have faith that things will get better. I thought that my skin was going to stay like that forever, but as you can see, my skin is completely clear. And right now, obviously, I'm wearing makeup. But if you go to my previous makeup tutorials, you guys see my skin and me bare face, and I have nothing on my face anymore. So the acne that I went through was hormonal acne, and it definitely wasn't the worst of the worst. So for anyone that's going through, you know, changes in their skin, and whether it be nodular acne or just like getting pimples all over or experiencing any sort of acne, just know that it will get better. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and just have faith, you know, that your skin will clear up and you'll be you again, because I know I felt like I was never going to be myself again when I was going through that. And yeah, like I said, I kept it all like to myself. I wasn't really like going out or, you know, making appearances in public or anything like that, because I just felt in a rut, and I just didn't feel pretty. And I stopped YouTube for a very long time when that was going on. It took me about 7 or 8 months to get my skin clear. It really only took 3 months for my skin to clear up, but the process of me finding the correct medication and what worked for me was almost a good year before I found exactly what worked for me. So just know, just keep giving different medications a try, and just don't give up, and know that you will find one that works for you. And that's it for this video. I really hope this was helpful in some way, and that you guys were able to learn something from this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and of course don't forget to subscribe for more videos. It's completely free, and I'll see you all